I can't tell if you can hear my voice. I'm going to play on my Accolonian Conqueror. This is my main character. I've got some other roles too. There's a Tempest of Sephiroth. It's basically like an evil priest archetype. Kind of like Sumerian barbarian. For obvious reasons, you gotta have one of those. And then I have a Khitan Ranger here. I wanted to kind of go with the Mongol archer archetype for him. But, Accolonian Conqueror, I wanted to make a warrior character, and I wanted to make it sort of archetype, so let's see what quests we encounter. I did not get to do the stream last night because apparently it takes 24 hours for YouTube to approve your live streaming permissions. So I logged on last night, got everything ready, and it was like it'll take 24 hours to allow you to do this. So I was a little bummed, but I'm here tonight streaming for you guys. I hope you enjoy this, and if anyone is interested in playing this game, I'm quite into it. I began playing this for the channel, but I really enjoy this game. I think it has perhaps my favorite combat system of any MMO. It's so fun. Alright, so let's check out if there's your daughter. Must be stopped. So let's see. I was playing this a little bit this morning. Don't worry, it won't just be, it won't all just be talking. See, some of these quests must be repeated, because I did some of these this morning, and I think I just really accepted one that I did. Maybe it's a glitch, I don't know. Maybe the quests are active. Return the magic herbs to this guy. I wonder what he's going to do with yeah, I would love to play this game with the viewers if you like. I mean, it's kind of a game that's just on maintenance now. They haven't done an update in like a year or two. But you know, so it might be a dead game relatively soon, but Funcom, the company that now owns the Conan IP, they did say that this game is still profitable. So, hello, Jaden. Jaden Bennett. I see you in the comments there. Thanks for popping in for just a little bit. Happy that you came. So, let's see what service is good. Buy a membership, which gives you a pretty substantial experience boost, which is cool. Monster and some dungeons, so I don't want to head in there. Let's see if these are quests. See if I can make it. See, like, the world of this game is pretty cool. Like, it's a pretty good-looking game for how old it is. I mean, I think this character is pretty decent. Some of the equipment looks cool. Now, I'm playing my character as a dual-wielding warrior, which I think is the kind of ultimate warrior fantasy. Some people like the kind of two big-handed sword or mace or axe thing. But I was going to do that, I think, with my barbarian. I kind of wanted to play the ultra-skilled warrior who can carve people up with precision, you know? Sorry, I'm getting my bearings here. I can't remember. Let's go to Villanoctis instead. See, I'm in this district. I should probably do it. I am in the capital city Backroom right now, which is pretty cool. I was doing some questing out in Samaria earlier. Which is another cool zone in this game. You get to, when you go to Samaria, you get to fight the Vanir, who are kind of like invading from the Frost Giant's daughter. They kind of which is pretty awesome. I can do that. I think the only question I got that wasn't that was in the comments section was what my favorite sword is. And I have to say likely my favorite Conan story at this point is probably the Slithering Shadow or Thaw of the Dusk. That's probably still my favorite one at this point. But I do also quite like The Frost Giant's Daughter, Rogues in the House. I have finished reading Queen of the Black Host, and I like that one quite a bit too. But I still gotta get through a lot of the original Howard stuff. I'm kind of reading those as I'm reviewing them for you guys. That's why I've been, like, you know, in the comments, people will tell me things about, you know, Howard's influences and stuff like that. I never got into the pulps or the comics really. It was kind of a recent endeavor for me to get into this stuff. I did is because I was kind of, I don't know, becoming a little, shall we say, disillusioned by the way a lot of these big franchise properties that I grew up loving as a kid are being handled by their new corporate overlords. Star Wars and Disney, Star Wars and Marvel were my favorite things geek-wise in the world. Back when I was a kid, I was so into Marvel and Star Wars. But the new stuff, I don't know, just hasn't been good for me. So instead of just like being a regular fan about that stuff, I decided to get into something different. This is a universe I didn't really know much about. I have really quite liked getting into it. I always knew that the Conan the Barbarian world was very expansive and a lot to look at. So I figured it would be cool to make like a YouTube channel to kind of like showcase how cool this universe is, because I feel like, me being a lifelong comic book fan, avid even Marvel Comics fan, Conan wasn't a character that I, grew up like super into or anything. So this was kind of my horizon. So yeah, I've just been really enjoying this stuff, and it seems to be, in terms of like the community on YouTube, it seems to be a lot of people are embracing not just my videos, but the Conan stuff in general, which is cool to see. I kind of wanted to bring my enthusiasm for comic books and expansive fictional universes to something that I could be excited about, because I love making videos about this kind of stuff on YouTube. I mean, I used to do this stuff all the time back when I was a teenager in high school. It's kind of when I first started reviewing Spider-Man comic books and Star Wars comics as well. I'm a big Ninja Turtles fan as well, so I always look at some of that stuff. And my friend Captain Logan over on the channel Geek Motion, he's kind of the guy that I did a lot of videos with outside of my own channel. And I think those were quite good. I hope so, because I think those videos are a little bit better than the ones I made on my own, but so this is kind of my new endeavor. It's been really fun. So, I hope everyone is having a good night. I hope that you're doing some cool stuff with your evening. I'm, of course, just drinking this game. I got a Voodoo Ranger IPA I'm drinking to celebrate the 100 subscribers, having a little bit of fun. So yeah, we're going to do some epic questing. We want to go to Conan Village. Conan. Sorry. So yeah, as far as like new developments on the channel in the future, I'm really looking forward to continuing with the Howard stuff, and I'm also really looking forward to all of you guys getting to see a free episode of the Garage House podcast, because the discussion that Josh and I had with just Josh is a great co-host. I've come to know him primarily through Discord conversations with the Evolution community. During the pandemic, for the Evolution patrons, I set up a community Discord of sorts for those folks, and we've, through the pandemic, and I guess now that we're coming out of it a little bit beyond, at least hopefully anyway, we've become pretty close friends. Josh is one of those people. We talk very frequently, and when I was getting into the Conan stuff, he was a big fan of John Buscema's artwork, and he, of course, knew that Buscema had done a very long and legendary run on Conan. So when I was talking about all this stuff, he was saying, I should get into it too, and he started looking at some stuff. He seemed to be really enthusiastic about it when we would talk about it. He liked reading the Howard stories as well as some of the novel stuff that he was interested in the first place. So I suggested the idea to him. I was like, we should do a podcast for my patrons. You can clip it out sort of like Joe Rogan and any other big podcasts on YouTube pages. They have like the main show. I guess with Rogan you can get it on Spotify, and then all the clips go on YouTube. I planned on doing that kind of thing, so that the viewers still get to know Josh and see how cool a person he is. But there's also an incentive to support the Patreon, because I work a full-time job. My day job is I work as a lawyer, so I have limited time in the evenings after I'm done cleaning up after myself, cooking for myself, exercising myself, to work on this stuff. It is my hobby and creative. A lot of things that we're living in crazy times. Everything's getting more expensive. So yeah, as you can see here, as we're going through, the attention to lore and detail in this game is really fun. So we have a Vanir here, who is the antagonist. It's the antagonist faction, Frostgiant's daughter. The army that Conan fights with is the Aesir, and the army they're fighting is the Vanir. So there's a lot of cool use of the Conan lore in this game. You can tell the people that made it really care. I hope that FunCon really sticks with this. The Conan IP doesn't become kind of it is kind of weird, to be honest, that a video game company library of characters, but the guy Friedrich Malmberg, who's the head of the company that owned Conan's rights for a long time, he's an ex-video game developer. He said that in the modern age, it's getting to the point where video games are going to be the thing that keep one's intellectual property relevant to the generations. It's not that movies are unpopular or anything. They're already a bigger industry writ large than the film industry. So, I think, Conan video games are popular. That could, generate more interest in Conan in general, and that would be good for all of us, I think, as long as it doesn't become the most profitable product for some corporate master like Marvel and Star Wars have become. And there's like 80 cooks in the kitchen, and the scripts for everything are written in boardrooms, and Marvel's just at the point where everything is kind of like a cameo parade. It's just, oh my god, Tobey Maguire's here, isn't this cool? It's like, kind of. The reason I like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies is because they had great stories. At least the first two. The first one has some flaws, but the people that made those movies actually cared about the source material. They treated it with the reverence and care that it deserves. And Spider-Man is one of the most iconic characters in the history of fiction for a reason. I mean, I'm biased because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I think you watch a movie like the Batman movie that DC just put out, and it really is an actual film. It's not just writing on nostalgia and stuff for lore wiki nerds, I guess. I feel like Marvel has betrayed the spirit of most of the characters that they have put into their various film projects at this point. I mean, my favorite Avengers are Hulk and Thor. Those characters just completely, which sucks. I mean, I was once a big MCU movie fan. I'm not feeling it as much anymore, I have to say. Spider-Man is kind of like refuge. I hope that for a long time, Malmberg was trying to get. This is a 6-person movie. Malmberg, for a long time, was trying to get a show going at Amazon. And that got some traction. I think there was a creative team they're not interested in Conan, which to me it really stinks because I like Conan as a fantasy universe much more than Lord of the Rings. I'm not really a big Lord of the Rings fan, to be completely honest. There's something about Conan stuff with the historical appealed to me quite a bit. The first Conan thing that I kind of that wasn't something connected to the movie was the 2012 Dark Horse Conan relaunch book with Ryan Wood, and that was a pseudo-adaptation of Queen of the Black Coast at the beginning, and then later on they kind of finished the story, and I think the lead is a recurring character throughout that entire series, which is cool. But yeah, that was one of the interesting as a character outside of his film appearances. It's just really cool that glitched out. Excuse me, I do have a bit of a cold, so maybe sniffling and good to be back, boys. Is But yeah. Anyways, the combat system is really cool. One of the things I like about it is it's an action-oriented combat system. I think cool innovation over what games like WoW did, and then a game later was tried to do. Slashes that make them activate your combos, and they're all directional, so you kind of slash directly up slash, upside slash, and up down. It really makes me feel like getting in some lucky blows if that's your kind of thing. It's pretty cool. I'm not usually a big PC guy. I am a when I did play Star Wars The Old Republic, of course, because, it's Star Wars. I like Star Wars. At least with this class. It's simple enough for me, console scrub, to grasp. I don't like PC games where you have to use it. It's just not. Who knows? Maybe I'll still be addicted to Age of Conan. That's kind of been my experience with a lot of the new games that come what else? I have Riders Republic, Far Cry 6. There's a bunch of stuff I gotta play. It's on the backlog on the Xbox. But, with lack of content. Sorry, I was just trying to what I was doing here. So yeah, it was a game that launched. It had a lot of hype at the beginning. It was pretty well received, and then Funcom kind of kind of wanted it to be a much more interesting past. And of course, I hear that the new Final Fantasy. I think Conan's a good universe for an That's one of the things I like about the look of this game. WoW is cool because it has that cartoony look, and I love that for it. I mean, it's very charming and all that jazz. But this game, with the realism that goes by, I do appreciate that as well. But one of the things that I do appreciate about this game is that it is challenging. At least, I guess, you know, as far as I know. I mean, maybe to people that are better at this game, these quests are like super easy, and I'm just, you know, a scrub. I looked into a little bit about how to play this class, and I think okay. I don't want to aggro this boss again. We'll just go and if you memorize the combos, I mean, it's also kind of a because N and M are right next to each other, obviously, on the keyboard, and M is the map. An AoE is an area of effects, so it affects like a certain order. They're really useful for fighting mobs because you can be damaging all of the other, you know, dangerous enemies or whatever while you're focusing maybe on them. So you kill one guy and then you get to the other ones that are already half cooked, shall we say. Ready to be slaughtered. Ha! Range classes, because obviously, you know, they have a melee class. I believe they can be Stabby duel a little bit. That's pretty cool. I thought for some reason they were like dropping off those bodies and I needed to pick them up. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what happens when you like start quests and go back to like I love the animations that they, you know, have in this too. Like when you do the finisher combos, that's just, it's really cool. I quite like it. There's some human remains. Another Conan game that I have been playing relatively recently is Conan Exiles, which is a game that's made by Funcom. It's kind of a, I guess, sort of in the vein of this game, in that this is sort of a wild Funcom's spin on it. An MMO that isn't in some way influenced by World of Warcraft. That's embarrassing. I died on stream, folks. But anywho, Conan Exiles, yeah, great game. I really like it. I played that game for a long, long time. I still haven't gotten around to playing the Isle of Sipta, the expansion pack, yet. I made a character and started doing some stuff in it. I built a house, but I haven't played it since. But that game's really cool. The thing I like about Conan Exiles is it's like it reminds me of like a very old game in the sense that it doesn't hold your hand at all. Like you're just dropped in the middle of the desert and like it's just like survive. And you kind of have to learn how to do it. You know, like you find out, oh, like if I make this tool, then if I use it on a tree, then I can get wood, and then with the wood I can make, you know, walls for a house, roof, campfire stick, food. It's really cool. They really do kind of simulate feeling of just being dropped in a hostile environment. You're out in a hostile environment all by yourself, and there's going to be no fairy telling you, hey, listen, this is how you make a campfire. It's just kind of like, if you don't know how to make a campfire, you're going to die. So... I don't want to sound like I'm acting up along on the street, but completely unprofessional. Not that the stream is entirely professional in the first place. I did feel a little bad about just kind of we'll see. Very interested in, like, if any of the viewers of the community would party and do group content together, because there's so many quests I'd have to skip over because I just don't else that plays this game. You know, it's tough. It's tough to find people these days that want to play a dead MMO with you. You know, so. I played World of Warcraft, I guess, relatively casually. It was a game that I played a lot, but I never got into, like, the highest tier of rating. I just didn't have the time to ever get that proficient at the game, let alone, you know, plan out entire evenings where I'm going to be trying to play, you know, a World of Warcraft boss, and we may die a million times a week. But yeah, I mean, that... you know, in theory sounds cool to me, but I just never found the adequate enough time to do it, and I don't know, video games I am kind of a learner. Sometimes I do just want to play stuff by myself in my jet and relax and not have to deal with other people. Because, you know, you go to work, you deal with people all day, and fuck people. At the end of the day, you wake up and you're like, I love people. You go home by the end of the day, you're like, fuck people, and you want to just relax by yourself and with your loved ones, who you hopefully don't count amongst the people that you you don't enjoy the company of by the end of the day. I certainly count my loved ones, my girlfriend, and the rest of my family amongst my favorite people. So. This locate the Bane of Radi quest, I don't know what you're supposed to do for that, because I tried to look it up online, and the questing guides for Age of Conan are very sparse. Not a lot of people did guides for it, or at least ones that I can find. If anyone has a guide for this game that they know of, definitely be down to check it out. What was that? What the hell is that? There you go. Okay. I guess we should unmount because... itchy. Maybe I'm just... That's entirely possible. Didn't make the stream time that I originally said. I failed you, Master White. I failed you, and I regret it. I hope other people have went. I mean, obviously it has, because I guess I have a pretty good opinion. I hope other people go see that new Batman, because I'm not even like the biggest Batman comic book fan. I've seen all the movies, and I grew up with Batman as much as any kid born in the United States does. I mean, it's kind of impossible to do. But man, that new Batman movie was you should go see it. It may be my favorite of them. I keep going back and forth between all of them. Kidding me. That's the name of the game, I guess. I should have focused on him rather than killing things first. It's not usually what I like to do it. I'm just going to take out the new guys first, because they continue to do damage with not even fighting the boss. But man, he really took out some good chunks of people. Come on, dude. Frog in your throat, you're coughing, you get the sniffle. Hello there. I have never seen Korgoth of Barbaria on Adult Swim. If that's somewhat influenced by Conan, definitely let me know in the comments. That sounds interesting. I I know Josh, my co-host on the Grog House podcast, he is interested in reviewing Genny Teradovsky show Primal, because that was if that's available anywhere, I'd like to take a look at it. If it was unaired, I would imagine that I'd probably find it for free on I don't know if that was actually show that ended before it began. Have risen and fallen. Out of the frozen north, a man emerges. A man of barbaric age whose merciless savagery may be the only key to his survival. They call him Korgoth. He says you can find the show on YouTube, Daily Motion, a lot of sites, really for free. Okay, well, I will look into that. And from what you're saying, it does sound very inspired by Conan, so that's pretty cool. Hey, we got Soul Zen here, and he says, that backstory reminds me of Thundar a bit. That name sounds familiar. I don't know if that's the movie that Austin had suggested to us, but I can't remember. Conan Xbox 360 game from 2007. I believe it was 2007 when that game came out. But that game I have on the Xbox Series X backwards compatibility thing. And I played a bit of that. I'm really bad at it. yeah, I'm just really bad at it, but it is fun. You know, it's listen to some Conan lore. I wonder if Ron Perlman is a Conan fan, because he played Conan's dad in the Jason Momoa reboot too. So that's a thing. Well, Captain Omni says the game's audio is a bit loud. I can't really hear you that well. Huh. Okay. Maybe I can adjust that. I don't know if I can. Let's see if I can adjust that on the fly here. Alright, I think I've turned the desktop audio down. So maybe that'll help some. Thank you for letting me know, though. That definitely is much appreciated. Alright, I'm going to fight this guy, and let me know if you guys can still not hear me very well when the game's audio is going. How is that? Can you guys still hear me? My voice is too low. Maybe I can turn up the gain on my mic a bit. How does that sound? Do I sound any better? I'll see if... Oh, Super Billy's here. Hello, my friend. Oh, no, don't apologize for being late. I'm a day late with the stream, so... It's not you, it's me. Alright. Oh, could nobody, like, hear what I was saying before? That really sucks. Well, you live and you learn. Language. Okay, so people say they can hear me better. Excellent. Okay. I will keep these settings in mind for next time. This is the first time I've ever streamed any video game before. I've been a gamer my whole life, and I guess I'm a Luddite because this is the first game I've ever streamed. Oh, cool, Super Really. What's the other live stream you're checking out? Oh, hello, by the way, Dr. Benjamin Linus. Thank you for making an appearance. Dr. Benjamin Linus, I believe, is one of our most knowledgeable commenters. He's informed me of some stuff that I certainly didn't know about some of these Conan stories, so... Okay, he could hear... So, Captain Omni said he could hear bits and pieces. Okay. Well, I'm sorry about the audio issues. I definitely not have that problem next time. See, I had turned the gain down on my mic because I didn't want the mic to pick up the audio from the TV, because you kind of get that endless ringing effect where you hear like that, you know, endless echoing of the audio. So I was trying to avoid that, so maybe that was my problem. I just had the gain too low. So Captain Omni says, I really want a new single-player Conan game, like if we get something like The Witcher 3, but with Conan, I'm all there. Yeah, man, I mean, that's the dream. I really do enjoy playing Conan Exiles quite a bit. That kind of scratches my itch for a Conan game you can play single-player, but I know what you mean in that game is not story-driven at all. I mean, it's just kind of an open-world survival game, and you make your own fun. So I get what you mean. Like, I would love like a huge, big-budget, you know, AAA Conan game. Unfortunately, at this point, I think Funcom, since they own the IP, they're the only people that are going to get to work on it. But maybe, you know, Funcom, now that I think they got bought out by Tencent, which is a big Chinese developer. conglomerate. Like, they own a bunch of video game companies, so maybe with the capital they're likely going to get injected in them, maybe they'll have bigger budgets. I don't know, but I agree with you. I think that a single player, like, role-playing game, something like Dragon Age or Skyrim or The Witcher, So Billy says he's watching the Captain Logan show. Oh, I forgot that that was happening tonight too. That's awesome. They're talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. That should be pretty fun. That Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, I'm of two minds about. There's some stuff in it that I think look weird, and then there's other things that I think look cool. Like the dude, the Grand Inquisitor, he's supposed to be a member of the Utapowian race that Obi-Wan meets in Episode 3. The planet where, he rides on the lizard, for those who don't know Star Wars lore games. But he just looks like a cheap fan fiction version of that. After you look at, like, the way the aliens look in Revenge of the Sith, he just looks like a bald dude in white makeup and lines on his face instead of, like, the elongated head and the really sinister looking teeth that are sharp and inverted inward. I mean, I always thought that design was really cool and striking, but because it's a Disney Plus show, they probably don't have the money to do makeup that elaborate, which I get, but I don't know, it is kind of, like, inconsistent with the universe, and it is kind of weird. But I hope, despite the fact that they're going to do the dumb fanboy thing and have Obi-Wan Kenobi fight Darth Vader before A New Hope, which doesn't make sense in the original continuity of the original films, hopefully despite that, it's good. Captain Omni says, Ghost of Tsushima was made because Sucker Punch realized no one had done a Wandering Samurai game before. I really hope someone decides to do that for a Wandering Barbarian game. Yeah, man, I mean, that's another game that I would love to play at some point, but I am not able to because I own a PlayStation. At least as far as I know, I think that's a PlayStation exclusive. I think it is. Otherwise, I probably would have played it. Because a Wandering Samurai game sounds pretty cool. I would love that. Super Billy says, I would also love a AAA big-budget story-based adventure Conan game. He would like it to be as gratuitously violent and debauched as possible, and that doesn't jive with modern sensibilities. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it depends. I mean, I think there are some, modern games that lean into the kind of more exploitative violence. Something like Gears of War, I think of as being sort of, one of those franchises that has the more kind of, not that Conan is exploitative violence, but it can be, like, over the top sometimes. Yeah, I mean, maybe that would be a potential, avenue of hope in that regard. I don't know. But I do see what you mean in the sense that I think Conan is a character who's based on old history, and I think a lot of people are just kind of uncomfortable with, like, how humans used to act in the past, Like, I'm not, like, saying the things that people used to do in the past are good. I mean, like, there's lots of immoral shit that humans have done across the millennia, but it's like, you gotta kind of understand, like, that's just how people were at the time, For better or for worse, that's just people. I'm certainly glad that we live in modern times and we don't have to deal with people like Conan on a regular basis, because that would be scary to have to live in, obviously. But, yeah. Captain Omni says, modern sensibilities hold no power over sword and sorcery stories. It goes with the territory like horror movies. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I haven't read, like, every sword and sorcery tale in the world, I have to admit. I mean, I'm not a, I wouldn't say I'm an expert in the genre or anything. I mean, I'm not even an expert in Conan. I just like the character quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you in the sense that if you want to make a story about people that are of a medieval worldview and they live in a medieval type world, you know, I mean, they're not going to act like modern people. They're going to be much more violent in some cases. I mean, there's good people in every era, but, you know, medieval people were not known for their tolerance and niceness in medieval European society writ large. Soul's End says, doesn't mean they won't try. They tried that with one horror movie a short while back. Was not good. Okay. Hopefully, the Conan Netflix series, hopefully that, because that's the people that currently have the film rights to Conan, apparently. They had signed a deal, I think, a couple years ago to get those after Amazon dropped them. Hopefully that ends up being cool. I mean, Netflix is one of those companies that you never know. I mean, they produce a lot of crap, but they also produce a lot of good stuff, so, I mean, who knows? Captain Omni says, a really good sword and sorcery movie is the movie Mandy. If you've never seen it, it's the Nick Cage horror movie. Wow, really? I did not get a sword and sorcery vibe from that movie at all. At least from the trailers. I will definitely check that out if that's the case. Because I think Nick Cage... I mean, like, who doesn't love Nick Cage, right? I mean, he's just kind of walking meme at this point. I even, like, have nostalgia for Nick Cage and things like National Treasure, which I used to watch quite a bit when I was a kid. So, you know, I do like Nick Cage, and I think he's capable of memeing and actually, like, being a good actor. Like, I think the guy, he does a lot of, like, off-the-wall performances, but, like, when he has a role in a director that kind of reins him in a little bit, and he doesn't get to go completely off-the-wall insane, he can give a relatively measured and fantastic performance. He is a skilled actor. He's just crazy. He's a crazy guy, you know? I'm gonna die against this piece. Maybe not. Come. You can do it. No! Super Billy says there's a mystical battle axe in the film. Ooh. Then Captain Omni says he forges his own axe and seeks to save his wife from a cult, and it's set in the 80s. Oh, interesting. That's really interesting. So it's like an 80s sword and sorcery movie. Like, literally. Huh. That's kind of cool. Well, I definitely should check that out, because that sounds really awesome. I will definitely add that to the list. It was one that I was, like, you know, interested in before, but you guys have definitely got me more interested. Super Billy says Nick Cage is the entire spectrum of acting quality made manifest. I think you're very right about that, my friend. You know, and the thing about Nick Cage that's interesting, right? Like, even in the performances where he's, like, bad, he's entertaining as hell. And even if he's in a bad movie, him being in that movie is the thing that makes it not boring. You know, like, I feel like there's a lot of movies I've seen that Nick Cage has been in where if he wasn't there being absolutely insane, the movie would be completely unmemorable and I wouldn't have been entertained at all. You throw Nick Cage in there and all of a sudden I'm like, well, this is entertaining as fuck, you know? So...
It fills me with pride to know I will be part of honoring.
Oh shit. I think I need to... Is there a vendor around here? I guess I'll just destroy something in my inventory. I'll just eat that shit. There we go. Okay. Captain Omni says 2 words, chainsaw fight. Like, literally, there is a sword fight with chainsaws. That's awesome. Sign me up for that. But yeah, let me know if you guys like these video game streams where I'm just kind of like hanging out, talking to you guys. I mean, I'm totally willing to do them if there's interest. I'm having a great time hanging out with you guys tonight and playing this game. Even if I've not put on my best gameplay performance, I feel like I've died way too many times for this to be like pro elite gamer entertaining. But I'm just a dude. I like games. I like Conan. And I like hanging out with you guys, so hopefully this is fun. Captain Omni says he digs them. Excellent. Well, I may plan more in the future then. Definitely with more notice than the scheduling kerfuffle that happened with this one, because I don't know, people probably missed it at the beginning of the show, but I had said that I tried to go live last night. I got everything ready and was all ready to go, but apparently when you stream on YouTube, you need to like activate your account, and it takes 24 hours for YouTube to like give you the like the permissions to stream, which I was like, that's really weird. Maybe they have to vet your account to make sure you're not some kind of like porn weirdo or something. I don't know. But like, yeah, I was just like bummed because I had announced that the stream was going to happen on Wednesday, and I totally just assumed that it would work. But I guess that's what I get for not doing my homework. Okay. Do. Oh, crap, I forgot you can't go through there. Captain Omni says he plays Bloodborne, so he's no stranger to dying. I was actually talking to my friend John on the same Discord I had mentioned earlier. That I met my co-host Josh in, and he was playing Bloodborne and Elden Ring, which I hear from people is a fun game. But I have never played any of those From Software games because I'm kind of afraid of them, in the sense that like I'm just not good at those kind of like really fine-tuned action combat games. I don't know, maybe I'm just not coordinated enough. I prefer role-playing games like this where I can like micromanage stats and like the controls are relatively simple, but like it's the skill comes from building the character. That's what I like. I'm not as much into the kind of like really twitchy action combat that those games at least appear to bring to the table. I could be completely misjudging them, because I have only played one of them for like 5 minutes and died and was like, this is crazy. But yeah, I mean, I've heard those From Software games are games that a lot of people really like, so I'm glad you're enjoying it. Super Billy says, Mandy and The Color Out of Space, if you haven't seen them, would make wonderful Nick Cage double features. Oh yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I have not seen either of those. Another film, of course, that I was nostalgic for in terms of Nick Cage performances as a youngin' was Ghost Rider, the first one. The second one I saw in the theaters at a midnight showing with my friends when we were in high school as a joke, because we all knew it was going to be terrible. And it was. It was terrible. We were the only people there. The movie was entertaining, but it was terrible. It was not a very well-made movie, but I think it was kind of aware of that. It was made by the people who made the Crank movies, and it was just off-the-wall batshit insane the entire runtime, so you know how it is. Captain Omni says, I have a simple rule. Anything that features things prominently, the following things prominently, I'm there. Those being superheroes, barbarians, cowboys, knights, samurai, and pirates, no matter what it is. Well, That's awesome. And I can see why you like Conan, because I'm thinking, you know, barbarians, knights, and pirates are all in Conan, so you hit 3 of your criteria there, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm a big superhero fan myself, too. I do, of course, like barbarian things from Conan. I do like... I'm not a big Western aficionado, but the ones I've seen I really do like. I'm big into medieval and Renaissance history, so knights are cool to me. Samurai are just cool all the time. I mean, like, I'm very suspicious of anyone who doesn't think samurai are cool. You know what I mean? People who don't think, like, feudal Japan is interesting, I'm like, you're wackos. I don't know. I as a person that grew up on, like, Ninja Turtles, you know, like, that stuff, like, and I did, you know, a lot of martial arts when I was a kid. I did karate and taekwondo, because my dad is a 2nd degree black belt in taekwondo, so he, like, introduced me all that stuff, and I love that kind of stuff, too. Super Billy says, at the risk of offending this game, it looks like RuneScape with a budget. I can kind of see where you're coming from. I mean, it does have that a little bit more realistic thing that RuneScape's going for. RuneScape is a game that I loved when I was a kid. I played the absolute shit out of that game. Me and my friends were big into RuneScape, so I'm going to take it as a compliment because I think RuneScape's a really fun game. I haven't went back to it in years. But yeah. Captain Omni says it's also why superheroes are my favorite, because you can get all of those in the same place if superheroes are present. That's very true. Superheroes as a, like, fantasy concept and universe are very versatile. I think that's one of the reasons why Star Wars has remained so popular, because it also incorporates all of the things that you mentioned there. Barbarians, cowboys, knights, samurai, and pirates. You know, there's all Star Wars versions of all of those things in the Star Wars universe, and that's one of the things I always thought was cool about it. It's like, you know, space pirates and space samurai and, you know, all that kind of stuff. All right, let's try this guy again. Here we go, folks. All right. Bada bing. Come over here. Captain Omni says Han Solo, the OG space cowboy, no matter what Steve Miller says. Yes, Han Solo is the man. Super Billy says, I'm curious if you've ever heard of Richard Corbin and his Den Neverwhere series. It's essentially an X-rated Conan John Carter of Mars hybrid on LSD. I have never heard of that, but from what you're describing, that sounds pretty interesting. John Carter of Mars is another pulp thing that I've always heard is really cool. I have not seen the Taylor Kitsch movie that Disney made. But I've also heard that movie's pretty cool, even though it didn't get the best reception and box office take when it came out. But I would like to check that out at some point as well. I'd like to thank all of you guys for coming out tonight and checking out the stream. I didn't know how many viewers I'd get just like coming on the day after I announced the stream was going to happen, but I've got some good viewers here, and I really appreciate you guys coming. Captain Omni says Den had a short in the heavy metal animated movie. Interesting. He also says the John Carter movie is a great movie. It was killed by piss-poor marketing. Interesting. That really sucks. I feel like that movie may have even killed Taylor Kitsch's career, because, like, He was Gambit in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and I thought he was, like, decent in that. Like, the material he got to work with wasn't great, obviously, but, I mean, I think he could have been a cool Gambit if, you know, he was in the right movie. And then John Carter, which I've heard, you know, is a good movie, but, you know, just didn't have the, it didn't have the, marketing, I suppose, or, you know, it just didn't find its audience. Nobodies is here. He says hello. Hello, Nobodies. And Captain Omni says, John Carter is also canon to Tarzan, which I guess, you know, makes sense. Because that's also an Edgar Rice Burroughs thing, right? I know Edgar Rice Burroughs is Tarzan, and I think that's John Carter, too, if I remember correctly. I could be a total fraud and be wrong about that, but I think they're both Edgar Rice Burroughs creations. I used to really like Tarzan when I was a kid, too. Those old movies, and then the Brendan Fraser, I remember watching quite a bit. And then the Disney one, the animated film with Rosie O'Donnell. And the Phil Collins soundtrack. I loved that movie when I was a kid. I don't know if that, like, movie is one people, like, don't like now. I haven't seen it since I was about, like, maybe 10 or something, but I remember quite liking it. It was really good. So everyone's just kind of talking about Tarzan and John Carter. Captain Omni says John Carter also inspired 70% of modern pulp fiction. John Carter inspired Superman, Flash Gordon, and Star Wars. Or, I guess, by way of inspiring Flash Gordon, it inspired Star Wars. No, I did know that it was, like, super influential, and that's really cool. My friend Josh, who's the co-host for the Groghouse podcast, which for those who don't know, we're putting up a free episode tomorrow in the channel. It's going to go up, I don't remember what time I had it scheduled to go up, but it's already all edited. I have it all up on YouTube already. It's about an hour conversation on the various Tower of the Elephant comic book adaptations that have happened. So we look at the original Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith one, and then we look at the Savage Sword of Conan one, which was Roy Thomas and John Buscema, and then we took a look at the Dark Horse one, which was Kurt Busiek and Cary Nord. So we kind of talked about all of those in a free-form discussion and some other general Conan things too. So if you like the kind of podcasty freeform discussion between two friends, definitely check that out tomorrow. And for future episodes, we'll have them, of course, all up there on the Patreon, and then clips available for people that choose to not support the Patreon and just watch the free stuff, which is totally understandable. I myself don't have a lot of extra money, so I totally understand that. I'm gonna die again, I think. Yeah. Oh, but anyway, that whole tangent about me and Josh, the reason I started that was because Josh is a big Superman fan, and he was telling me that Siegel and Schuster were big and avid readers of Weird Tales magazine, that Howard and a lot of other writers contributed to, and of course I think all of the original Conan stories, at least for a while, appeared there. I don't know about some of the later ones, but of course, that was where a lot of them were published. So, it makes you wonder: were Siegel and Schuster Conan fans? Were Were they all influenced by those stories? I mean, who knows? I would imagine they at least read some of them if they were avid readers of it, so... Obviously, you can't get a character much different than Superman when it comes to Conan, but, you know, good storytelling is good storytelling, and even if you're telling a story about a very different character, you can still be inspired by some of the general concepts. And, of course, Conan is a universe that has one foot in fantasy and one foot in horror, one foot in science fiction. I mean, it's kind of a cool blend of a lot of genres. It's not just straight up Lord of the Rings sword and sorcery fantasy, which is what I kind of like about it. It reminds me of the kind of Kirby-esque sci-fi stuff you get in his Thor run after he comes back for the second time with Stan Lee, when it actually becomes a book that, you know, the both of them were putting effort into. There's some really cool fantasy and like out there science fiction concepts in the book, and Conan kind of reminds me of that. Captain Omni says, Superman is my favorite superhero of all time, followed by Captain Marvel, then Batman, then She-Hulk, then Hulk. Ooh, I like the She-Hulk selection. Then Power Girl, and then The Flash, all the Flashes. I'm a big fan of She-Hulk and the Hulk. I also love the Flash, so I'm with you there. Not that I dislike any of those other characters, but I'm particularly big fans of She-Hulk, Hulk, and the Flash. The Flash is my favorite DC character. And he also says Thor and Green Lantern. I'm a big Thor fan. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters. And I do like Captain America quite a bit, too. That's a character that I like, but haven't read as much of his comic book history as I would have liked to have. I've read some of the, like, Grunwald run from the 80s. I've read some of the Englehart stuff from the 70s. And I've, of course, read bits and pieces from various parts of Grunwald's run. Like, I've read the early stuff. I have the first omnibus volume, which is, like, the first 25 issues. And then some of the later stuff when Bucky takes over, because Bucky Cap for life. I'm a big Bucky Cap fan. So, Soul Zen says, would have loved if Kirby's God Saga could have played out as he wanted. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that God stuff that he was doing was supposed, like the New Gods, that was supposed to be a Thor thing. And like, if you read some of those issues, there are like end caps that are like, hey, the New Gods are coming next time, and like they're like setting them up and stuff. It's very interesting. And then Kirby, of course, had a falling out with Stan Lee and the various other people at Marvel, and he left and just went and did that idea at DC. So, you know, it just makes you wonder, like, what could have been if Jack Kirby, if the New Gods were Marvel characters. It's weird to think about, you know? Newbies says he's a fan of Superman and Batman. Super Billy says Superman is his favorite superhero. Captain Omni says, I find it easier to say Shazam these days instead of Captain Marvel, if only because it's easier than the explanation these days. Yeah. I have the only solo Shazam stuff that I've read, or Captain Marvel, whatever you want to call him, is the Jeff Johns run that he did in his backups in his Justice League run in the New 52. And I actually liked those backups more than the like main story. I thought Jeff Johns' Justice League was kind of awful pretty much the whole way through. But I really liked the Shazam backups, and that's what kept me buying the book. Those like 5 pages, I'd be like, wow, this is really good. Gary Frank's art is amazing, and like, this is the Jeff Johns that I remember loving from, you know, his run on The Flash and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was, Soul Zen says, New Gods. Excuse me. Oh, I'm being attacked by a lion. Soul Zen says, New Gods, Rise of the New Gods and Eternals was meant to be the old gods returning to judge the new gods, at least in terms of themes. Oh, very interesting. did not know that Kirby intended the Eternals and the New Gods to be connected. But I guess that makes sense. Super Really says, speaking of She-Hulk, have you taken a look at the official promo merchandise art for the Disney Plus series, giving us our first look at Jennifer Walters? Yes, I have. I think she looks great. I don't know. I'm kind of, like, burnt out on the MCU in general, so I don't know if I'm even going to watch that show. Like, in normal times, I would be extraordinarily excited for things like that She-Hulk show and the Doctor Strange movie that's coming out, because I'm a big She-Hulk and I'm a big Doctor Strange fan. But Spider-Man No Way Home was so bad that I don't want to support them anymore, and I am very unintrigued by the Doctor Strange trailer because it looks like another cameo parade, so I may not watch any more of the MCU stuff just out of principle, but I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't want to... I don't know. The only Disney Plus Marvel show that I've liked so far is WandaVision, which was the first one. I thought Captain America Winter Soldier was awful. I think it could have been really good and interesting. I would have loved a show that was actually about and dealt with the themes that it wanted to be about like racism in America and why a black man would have trepidations about being, you know, a Captain America. And I think that's a very interesting angle to take, but of course, you know, this is a Disney product that has to appeal to as broad an audience as possible, and in the current divided times we live in on race issues, people would not have been okay if they you know, came down on, you know, black people have been oppressed in American history, you know, that kind of thing, which is what they should have done, like what the Watchmen show did. But, you know, and then, what are the other ones? Loki I watched. I liked it for a little while, and then it just became an ad for the future of the MCU by the end, where it was just like a conversation with horrible Kang variant, like... I don't know who approved that being the first look that the audience gets of Kang, because he's just a goofball. I really hope that's not how he's characterized in all other things, because I love Kang the Conqueror, and I just hate that every MCU character has to be an ironic like meme machine and like bad Whedon dialogue faucet now. It's makes my skin crawl. Kang should be a no-nonsense, very serious character. The approach, at least, that they took with him in that series, I thought was awful. And the entire last episode, like, you realize that the show was just building up to, oh, look at what we're doing in the future. And it's like, well, I would have liked a show about Loki and the lore of Asgard, not, like, your multiverse crap. You know, but, you know, it is what it is. People are eating it up, so, I mean, I'm in the minority, you know, which is totally fine. I'm glad people are enjoying it. I am just moving on to other things. Captain Omni says, I wish they made She-Hulk a bit more swole. I love her character, but I know how Ed McGuinness and Greg Pak draw She-Hulk. She actually has muscle when they do. I hate tall green ladies since She-Hulk. Yeah, see, I like something closer to, like, the John Byrne portrayal, where she's still, like, a very tall, like, built woman, but she's not completely just hulking monster like the actual Hulk. That's what I prefer, and I think that's kind of what they're going with the tone and direction of the show and the look, so I'm totally fine with that. They said they're going to do the fourth wall breaking stuff, which in any other MCU project would have made me cringe harder than anything. But if you're going to do that with anything, She-Hulk is the way to do it. I mean, that's the book that, you know, pioneered that stuff and making fun of the comic book industry. You know, I've heard Kevin Feige's going to be in the show, which could be cool. I mean, I don't think that they'll be as ruthlessly satirical of John Byrne's bosses as you know, he was in that comic book, as the show will be about Kevin Feige, because, you know, they got to worship their corporate overlord. But, you know, it is what it is. I hope it turns out good, all things considered. But yeah, I just would like to see as well, like, Bruce Banner not portrayed in a way that's not just stoned Mark Ruffalo. Because I feel like in Thor Ragnarok, he's just stoned Mark Ruffalo, and he's been that ever since. That movie completely ruined his and Thor's character in one fell swoop, which are my two favorite Avengers, and that's why I hate that movie so much. Because it just turned them into complete farce jokes, and I don't know, that movie's, to me, really bad. But anyway, I would like to see Bruce Banner portrayed in a way that's closer to his, what we got with the first and second Avengers movie, where he was very close to the comic book version. I mean, we didn't get to explore his character as much as I would have liked because it's an ensemble piece, but I mean, I think Whedon really got what makes the Hulk interesting as a character, and that was very quickly abandoned with, once he got into that Thor movie. So at the very least, I hope, the She-Hulk show will maybe redeem Banner. That would be nice. Because the Hulk is still one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. I'm a big Hulk fan, so. And the thing about all this that makes me sad, I mean, I sound like a grumpy old man about all this kind of stuff, but I criticize Marvel because I love them. I mean, I like DC well enough, but Marvel is my bread and butter as far as like superhero stuff goes. I love Marvel, so it just makes me sad to see it in this state. But anyway, Soulzen says there was a one-shot comic where they merged Thor's characters with the New Gods. Was weird seeing Odin so chill. That's funny. I didn't know about that. I wonder if that was in that, like, amalgam era in the 90s or something. If you know, let me know. Super Billy says, I'm in almost complete agreement regarding the MCU. Most of Phase 4 has been a colossal disappointment for me. However, I'm still hopeful that Doctor Strange 2 and Moon Knight will salvage it. Yeah, Moon Knight, of those two, looks really promising to me. Doctor Strange, I'm not seeing out of principle. Even though Doctor Strange is one of my favorite Marvel characters, I had been waiting for a big budget Doctor Strange movie almost my entire life to be made. I loved the first movie. I know a lot of people don't love that movie that much, but I loved it just because it was a pretty decent adaptation of Doctor Strange's origin, and I appreciated that. But yeah, I don't know. That movie has to be a sequel to about 8 things. It has to be a sequel to What If? It has to be a sequel to WandaVision. It has to be a sequel to Spider-Man No Way Home. It has to be a sequel to the first Doctor Strange movie. And it has to set up all of this multiverse crap, I would imagine, as well as the Young Avengers, because Scarlet Witch's kids are two of the founding members of that team, and they're clearly going to do that eventually with Kate Bishop as well. So I'm just not interested in an advertisement for Marvel's future and past products. So I don't know. It's just not them appropriating Doctor Strange into one of those things just really makes my skin crawl. Benedict Cumberbatch has said in recent interviews that one, he feels really gross about being in a part of the thing that's destroying Hollywood. In terms of like actual films that aren't written in a boardroom and just are CGI spectacles with no story depth, being the only thing Hollywood produces. He feels really gross about being a part of that. And he also said that he doesn't have a character arc in the Doctor Strange movie because it's so stuffed full of all this other crap. So, I mean, hopefully it works out, but I mean, that's at least the star's opinion of the movie. So, we'll see. Captain Omni says, I just prefer She-Hulk to have clearly visible muscle, shredded looking. After all, say Hulk, you think muscle. She-Hulk would be the female fitness model area. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. Like, I think having her look like a very fit woman is my preferred look. When I say like that hulking look, I mean like they did a book where I think it was called Savage She-Hulk relatively recently, where she was like the same size as the Hulk and gray and like had the kind of like monosyllabic thing where she didn't speak much, like some iterations of the Hulk have, where she only knows like a couple of words or whatever. That look, and also in the recent Jason Aaron Avengers run, She-Hulk looks like a gigantic hulking figure, and I'm not as much of a fan of that. I much prefer, like you said, the, like, you know, bodybuilder woman look, like what a woman in peak physical condition actually looks like, you know. I'm a big fan of that, so. I didn't mean for as much of the stream to be about Marvel, but I'm glad you guys are enjoying asking questions about it. I expected there would be some crossover between people that like Marvel and people that like this stuff, because it's all in some kind of the same wheelhouse, you know? Do 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 do. Captain Omni says, thoughts on Power Girl? I have honestly, I think, read maybe 1 or 2 comics with Power Girl in them in, like, the background before. The only thing I know about her is she's like an alternate universe version of Supergirl, with a boob window costume. I'm sure she's much cooler than that, because I've heard, like, it may have been Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner that did a run on her that's really critically acclaimed. I'm not sure. But, yeah, I mean, I like Supergirl quite a bit as a character. She's pretty cool. So if she's anything like Supergirl, I'm sure I would enjoy her, too. Super Billy says, Marvel did produce Conan comics at one point. Yes, of course. I mean, the Conan Marvel comics are part of the reason why the characters was adapted into film in the first place. I mean, the popularity of those books and the Frank Frazetta illustrated covers, paperbacks of the Howard and other L. Sprague, DeCamp, and Lynn Carter stories were the reason why there was a second wind of popularity. So, yeah, I love the Marvel comics. It's great stuff. Nobodies. Sorry, I misread your name. Have any of you seen The Legend of Vox Machinima? I have not. So, I wonder if anyone else has, but I have not, unfortunately. Do-do-do. Oh, I didn't realize this guy wanted to fight me. Super Billy says, what director would you most like to see direct a live-action Conan the Barbarian film? P.S. John Milius is still alive. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I talked about this a little bit in my review for The Frost Giant's Daughter, because John Milius's script for the Conan movie he wanted to do with Arnold, like, years later, was sort of based on that, at least the beginning and sort of the inciting incident of the story. So, I mean, as someone who loves that story, I would have liked to have seen that film come to fruition, of course. But I'm trying to think of other modern directors. I mean, I know Robert Rodriguez is very interested in making a Conan movie. He was supposed to, at various points in his career, make a Conan movie or make a Red Sonja movie. When he was dating Rose McGowan, they were going to do a Red Sonja movie, and they went as far as to make, like, posters for it with her in the costume and everything. And that eventually fell through, but that's also the reason why she ended up playing the villain in the Jason Momoa Conan movie, because she still wanted to do something in the Howard universe, I guess. So he would be one of the people I would love to see take it on. I think he has the right sensibilities, and he clearly has the passion and desire to do it. He loves Conan, not just because of how good the stories are, but he's also a Texan and Howard, so he sees it as kind of like the folklore of his state in some ways. At least that's the way Quentin Tarantino talks about it. He talked about this a little bit on Joe Rogan's podcast, because Joe Rogan is also a big Conan fan. He grew up with the Conan books, and Quentin Tarantino, I guess, grew up with the Conan comic books from Marvel in the 70s and stuff, so they talked a little bit about that. And, Rogan was saying he wished that Quentin Tarantino would make a Conan movie, and Quentin Tarantino was very quick to say, "Oh, like, my friend Robert Rodriguez, that's like his baby. He would give anything to do that kind of a movie." And Frederick Malmberg has done an interview with the Midnight's Edge guys, and he talks a little bit about how they had Robert Rodriguez attached to the Conan movie that eventually became the Jason Momoa one for a while. And he was working with Harvey Weinstein at the time at Miramax, or the Weinstein Company, whatever iteration they were in at that point. And Harvey Weinstein kept trying to lock Robert Rodriguez in as like one of the directors in his stable, so he kept like offering him other stuff to distract him away from the Conan movie, at least according to Frederick Malmberg. I mean, that's his perspective. I don't know if anyone else would have a different one, but that his involvement in that project eventually fell by the wayside, unfortunately. I think the Jason Momoa movie would have been much better if Robert Rodriguez directed it rather than, I don't even remember the guy who directed that movie, but man, that movie was rough. I'm sure many of you guys here have seen it, but it's not great. Nobody's says, how about Peter Jackson? Yeah, I mean, that would be an obvious, it wouldn't be too hard of a leap to see the guy who made Lord of the Rings make a Conan thing, so, I wouldn't be opposed to that, for sure. I think Peter Jackson's a really talented filmmaker. I want to watch his new Beatles documentary that he made that came out on Disney+. Because I do love the Beatles, and supposedly his documentary is really good. I have not seen. I think he did a World War I documentary that like colorized a bunch of footage. I remember talking to someone about it. I think it's a World War I documentary, but that sounded really cool. So. So I've been at this for a couple hours now. I think after I complete this quest task, I may end the stream. Let's see. Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna go over here and just kind of chill so I can end the stream. Let's see. Still a few minutes, so I'll stay on till 10 o'clock. I got like 3 minutes. So 2 minutes left now. If anyone wants to ask any questions real fast before I go, I'm willing to answer them, but I'm probably going to end the stream at like 10, so send them in. Super Billy says, the 2011 Conan movie was made by Marcus Nispel, the director of Pathfinder. Interesting. I didn't even know there was a Pathfinder movie. That's a D&D spinoff, if I remember correctly. That's weird that got a movie. Especially since that the first Dungeons & Dragons movie is so notoriously, infamous. But yeah. Gonna do my little Aquilonian dance. Oh, there we go. It's like, why is it not working? Instead of walk like an Egyptian, we walk like an Aquilonian. Solzen says bye. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming, by the way. It's good to see you in the comments there. All right, it's 10 o'clock, guys, so I think I'm going to end the stream now. But it was great talking to you all in the comments. Please leave in the comments if you're watching the stream like afterwards or whatever. If you would be interested in seeing these kind of streams happen in the future where I stream a Conan game. Oh, I'm in combat here, so looks like I'm going to end the stream on a combat note. Oh, crap. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, if you're interested in seeing these kind of streams in the future, definitely let me know. I'm totally open to streaming any of the Conan games. This game is pretty easy for me to stream because I have OBS on my computer, so I figure out how to do that stuff. And yeah. So let me know. I can stream this game, Age of Conan. This game we can do Conan Exiles or Conan 2007. Let me know if you'd be interested in any of that. And thanks for checking out the stream, everybody. I really appreciate it. And me and Tamesor here, my conqueror, bid you farewell. Bye-bye.